Welcome to Crushed Husband. Please like the video and subscribe. Let's begin. I sat there in the cramped apartment, staring at the dirty floor, the weight of Rachel's words pressing down on me like a damn lead blanket. "I can't stand being around you," she had said, no emotion in her voice. Like it was an afterthought. She wasn't even looking at me when she said it, just scrubbing away at a plate in the kitchen. My eyes stayed fixed on the floor, but in my head, everything felt like it was spinning. I don't know why it hit me so hard. It wasn't like I hadn't seen it coming. Hell, maybe I had known for months. But hearing it out loud, it felt like something inside me just snapped. I didn't say anything at first. I just let the silence stretch between us. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to ask why. I didn't need to. The past few months had felt off, and I had tried everything to fix it. But it wasn't me that was broken. It was her, and I was done. She didn't even turn around when I stood up, grabbed my jacket off the chair. The sound of the fabric sliding over itself filled the room, but she didn't react. I walked out the door without a second thought, not even bothering to look back. For the first time in months, I felt something lift off my chest. I didn't know where I was going. My hands gripped the wheel hard, knuckles white, but I didn't feel anything. I just drove, letting the road twist around me, no destination in mind. My brain was running circles, replaying Rachel's words over and over. "I can't stand being around you." The phone buzzed in my pocket. Joe's name flashed across the screen. My stomach twisted at the thought of him calling, but I swiped to answer anyway. "Mike," Joe's voice came through, shaky, urgent. "You need to hear this." I pressed the phone to my ear, trying to focus on the road. "What's going on?" "I've been seeing Rachel," he said, his voice tight. "She's been meeting some guy. At the bar." More than once my stomach dropped. "What do you mean meeting some guy? Who?" There was a pause, and I could hear Joe fumbling on the other end, like he wasn't sure how much to say. "I don't know all the details, but I've seen them together. It's not even subtle, Mike. She's been with him, like really with him. Laughing, holding hands. You need to know." My hands tightened on the wheel. My head was spinning. I tried to push down the panic creeping up my throat. "And who the hell is he, Joe?" Another pause. I could practically feel him hesitate, but then he blurted it out. "Greg, the guy from the auto parts store. You know him?" Greg. My chest tightened, like I couldn't catch my breath. I knew exactly who Greg was. The guy who always had that easy smile at the counter, talking about cars like he knew everything. The guy who must have been charming enough to pull Rachel in. My blood ran cold. "Are you sure?" I asked, trying to sound calm, like I wasn't about to crack open. "I mean, really sure?" "Yeah, I've seen them a few times. It's not just some random thing. She's with him." Mike, I felt sick. My stomach flipped. I wanted to lash out, to scream, but I couldn't. Not yet. "All right, thanks, Joe," I said, my voice low. "I gotta go." I hung up without waiting for him to say anything else. My mind was a blur, racing. I could barely focus on the road, but I kept driving. My fingers tapped against the wheel in a steady rhythm, as though I could somehow calm myself down. It wasn't working. Rachel? She'd been with him. She'd replaced me with someone else. All those nights I thought she was just distant. All the hours I spent trying to figure out what went wrong, she'd already made her choice. And that guy, Greg, she'd been living a double life while I was left here in the dark. I pulled into a parking lot, just up the street from the bar Joe had mentioned. My breath came shallow, and I couldn't seem to get a full one. I sat there for a few minutes, staring at the neon sign that flickered in the window of the bar. I didn't want to walk in there, didn't want to see them together. But I had to know. I had to see it with my own eyes. I got out of the car and walked toward the bar, trying to steady myself. My boots hit the pavement hard with each step, my heart thumping in my chest. Every part of me told me to turn around, but I didn't. As I approached the door, I paused and peered through the small window. And there they were, Rachel, Greg, together. She was sitting on his lap, laughing, her hand resting on his shoulder, like she belonged there, like she'd always belonged there. My stomach churned. The anger wasn't even there yet, just this sick feeling, like I was suffocating. I stepped back, not wanting to make myself known. Not yet. I pulled my phone from my pocket and snapped a picture of them through the window, just to have something, some proof. Then I hit dial on Joe's number. "Heads up," I said when he picked up, trying to keep my voice steady. "Get over here." "I'm at the bar." Are you okay?" Joe asked, his voice full of concern. No, I said, the words sounding flat in my mouth. Just get here. I hung up. Then I just stood there, watching, the sound of their laughter, the easy way they touched each other. It dug into me like a knife. I didn't know how long I'd be able to stand there, but I needed to see this. I needed to know how far Rachel had gone. I wasn't leaving until I had all the answers. I parked across the street just far enough away that I could still see the bar through the window. My hands were tight on the wheel, my grip starting to hurt. I couldn't look away. The whole damn scene felt surreal. Rachel and Greg were still inside, laughing, like everything was normal. Like I wasn't standing outside in the cold, my insides twisted into a tight knot. Rachel's laugh cut through the air, louder than the hum of the streetlights, and I watched as she leaned in closer to Greg. He was touching her arm, his hand on her back, guiding her closer. Something about the way she responded to him. It was too familiar, too intimate. She'd never done that with me. Never sat in my lap like that. Never leaned into me that easily. But here she was, practically climbing on top of him, laughing like she didn't have a care in the world. I swallowed hard, my chest tight. My brain was firing off 100 different thoughts, all crashing into each other, but I stayed frozen, my eyes locked on the scene inside. I knew I should have gone in. I should have stormed in there and demanded answers, but something inside me wanted more. I needed to see it all, every last piece of the puzzle, even if it tore me apart. I reached for my phone, dialing Joe's number. I needed him here, now. The tightness in my chest wasn't going away, but maybe he could help me keep it together for a few more minutes. Yeah, Joe answered, his voice sharp. Get your ass down here, I said, the words coming out harsher than I intended. Now! Mike, what's going on? Just get here. You'll see, I snapped. I ended the call before he could say anything else and kept my eyes on the bar. My pulse thudded in my ears as I watched Greg touch Rachel's face. Slowly, like it wasn't even a big deal, he slid his hand down to her neck and leaned in to kiss her. She didn't pull away. She didn't hesitate. She kissed him back. That was it. The floodgates broke open, and the anger I'd been holding back hit me like a damn wave. It was suffocating, hot and all-consuming. But I kept it locked down. I couldn't lose control, not yet. I snapped a picture. The flash wasn't visible from the outside, but it felt like it might as well have been a spotlight. Rachel didn't even notice. I leaned back in my seat, staring at the photo on my phone. I couldn't believe this. After everything, this was what she'd been hiding. This was what she had been doing behind my back. When I saw Joe's car pull into the parking lot, I got out of the car and stood by the curb, waiting for him. He was already looking around, his face pulling into a frown when he saw me. What the hell is going on? Joe asked, crossing over to me. What did you find out? I showed him the picture, held up the screen. She's been with him. This whole time. She's been fucking him. Joe took a breath, his eyes flicking to the bar. Are you sure? I mean, Jesus, Mike, she's with him right now. Yeah, I muttered, but I'm not done yet. We need to get this on video. Joe looked at me for a second, like he wasn't sure whether I was serious or not. You want me to record them? Dude, It's the only way, I interrupted. I'm done being the damn fool. Get your phone out. Record everything. I need proof. Joe nodded, pulling out his phone and holding it up, ready to start filming. We stood there, both of us watching, as Rachel and Greg's playful flirting continued. My stomach twisted harder. Greg leaned in again, whispering something in her ear that made her laugh. Then he kissed her again, longer this time. I felt my chest tighten. I wasn't going to let this go. I wasn't going to pretend like it didn't matter anymore. If Rachel thought she could get away with this, then she was wrong. As we watched them, I started thinking about all the times I'd tried to make things right. All the hours spent fixing the house, fixing the car, fixing us. But none of that mattered. She had already checked out. And now, she was replacing me. Joe filmed, his focus shifting from the bar to the screen in his hand. I couldn't look at him. I had to watch. I had to see this through. And when Greg kissed Rachel again, my finger hovered over the button to stop the recording. But it wasn't the kiss that made me snap. It was the way Rachel smiled at him, like she was happy, like she'd already moved on. And that was when I knew. It wasn't just about the affair. It was about everything she had thrown away. Joe didn't say anything. I didn't need him to. We both knew what was going on. I stayed there, watching them, waiting for the inevitable confrontation. Joe and I didn't say much on the drive back to my apartment. His eyes were glued to the road, and I just stared out the window, my mind spinning. The video felt like a weight in my hands, a piece of evidence that I didn't know what to do with. What was the point of having proof if it was just going to make everything even more real, more painful? I barely noticed the drive. When we got to my place, I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do. There was no guidebook for this, no instructions on how to move forward when your whole life crumbles in front of you. The apartment felt smaller somehow, the walls closing in, suffocating me. "I'm gonna head out," Joe said, looking at me like he wasn't sure if he should stay. "Yeah," I muttered, barely acknowledging him. I wasn't sure I wanted anyone around when I did this. He paused by the door. "You good?" I looked at him and nodded. "Yeah, I'll handle it." He didn't seem convinced, but he left anyway, and I was alone again. The apartment was quiet, too quiet. The silence felt like it was pressing in on me, demanding action. I stood there for a moment, my thoughts running wild before I made my decision. I wasn't going to let this drag on any longer. No more wondering, no more second-guessing. I was done. I went to the desk and grabbed the envelope with the divorce papers, the lease paperwork, and the statements for our joint savings accounts. I had already gone through everything, but holding it in my hands now felt different. It felt final. I wasn't looking for answers anymore. I had them. All I needed to do was deliver them. I walked into the living room, the envelope heavy in my hands, like it was weighing me down. Or maybe it was the weight of the moment. Rachel was sitting on the couch, flipping through her phone. She looked up when I came in, surprised to see me. "You're back?" she said, almost like she wasn't sure if I would be. "Thought you were done for the night." "I'm not here to talk, Rachel," I said, keeping my voice steady. She tilted her head, her smile fading slightly. "What do you mean? You're not coming back to talk about what we—" I set the envelope on the coffee table and sat down across from her. Her eyes flicked to the envelope, and I could see the nervousness creeping in. She laughed, but it was forced, like she was trying to make light of the situation. "You're giving me papers?" She shook her head. "Come on, Mike. You know we can work this out." Her dismissive attitude made my blood boil, but I didn't let it show. I pushed the envelope toward her. "You're right. I'm not here to talk. I'm here to show you the truth." She hesitated, looking at the envelope like it was a ticking time bomb. Her fingers hovered over it. Then she slowly opened it, pulling out the divorce papers first. She skimmed them, her brow furrowing, but she didn't seem alarmed. Not yet. "Divorce?" She laughed nervously. "Come on, Mike. You don't have to do this. It's not that serious." But her voice was wavering now, and I knew. I could see it in her face. She knew this was real. I reached for my phone, slamming it onto the table between us, face up. The video was queued up and ready to go. "Watch this," I said, my voice tight. "This is the truth. You don't get to pretend anymore." Her eyes flicked to the screen, and she froze. I watched her face go from confusion to disbelief. For a moment, she didn't say anything, but then the color drained from her face. The disbelief turned into panic as she recognized the scene. "Mike," she whispered, her voice shaking. No, this isn't what it looks like." I didn't respond. I just let the video play out. The sound of her laughing with Greg, the way he kissed her, the way she kissed him back. It was all there, in living color. Her hands started to tremble as she reached for the phone, but I pulled it back before she could get a closer look. I wasn't giving her the chance to talk her way out of this. Her voice cracked. "It was a mistake, Mike. Please, just let me explain." I shook my head. "A mistake? You've been seeing him for months, Rachel. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. Over and over again." Her lips parted, and I saw her scrambling, trying to think of something to say, but it was too late. She was cornered. She knew it. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she whispered, her voice almost pleading now. Everything fell apart, and I wasn't—" "Stop," I interrupted, the anger finally breaking free. "I don't want to hear your excuses anymore. You made your choice. You've been making it for months, and now I'm done." Her face crumpled, the mask of indifference falling away. She looked like she wanted to cry, but I didn't care. "I'm leaving, Rachel," I said, standing up. "For good." I turned and walked toward the door without looking back. The sound of her sobbing behind me didn't reach me. I was already gone. I barely had the door shut behind me before Rachel's voice followed me, frantic, desperate. "Mike, wait!" Please, just listen to me. I didn't stop walking. I didn't even slow down. Mike, she cried again, now following me into the hallway. It was a mistake. I swear, I didn't mean for it to happen like this. I turned, finally facing her. She was standing there, looking like she'd just stepped out of a storm. Her makeup was smeared, and her hair was a mess. She wasn't trying to hide it anymore. She was caught, and she knew it. A mistake, I repeated, my voice low, my chest tight with anger. This wasn't a mistake, Rachel. A mistake is something you do once. This has been going on for months, over and over again. You chose him. Her eyes went wide, like she was trying to make me believe her, make me feel sorry for her. Mike, please, I don't know what happened. I didn't mean for any of this to get out of hand. You weren't paying attention to me anymore. She stopped, her voice cracking. I cut her off. Stop lying, Rachel. You weren't neglected. This wasn't about me not paying attention to you. This was about you choosing to check out, choosing to go behind my back. And now you're trying to put it on me? Her face flushed, and she stepped forward, reaching out like she was going to grab me. Please, Mike, don't leave me. We can fix this. We can figure it out. I'll end things with him, I swear. Just please don't walk away. I held up my hand, stopping her dead in her tracks. Don't make this about me again. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of it all. I'm not going to beg you to stay. You've made your choice, and I'm done cleaning up your mess. I'm done being the fool. Rachel's eyes started to water, and she wiped at her face, her voice growing softer. Mike, please. I know I fucked up. I know I did, but it's not too late. We can make it work again. Just give me a chance. I'll fix it. Please, I shook my head slowly. You don't get to fix this, Rachel. You already chose him. You've been with him behind my back, and you think you can just fix it with a few words? My hands were shaking now, the anger leaking through. No, you don't get to come back from this. I stood up straighter, pulling my jacket on as I turned to face her again. I'm already done. I contacted a lawyer this morning. I've already moved my money. I cleaned out our joint accounts. You're on your own from here. Her face went pale, and she reached out again, this time more frantic. Mike, no, please. You can't just do this. You can't just take everything and leave me like this. I was already walking toward the door, and I didn't look back when I spoke. I'm not leaving you, Rachel. You did this. You made your choice. You've been living this double life, and now you're going to deal with it. I'm done being your backup plan. I stepped through the door, the cool air hitting me like a slap to the face. Rachel's voice cracked behind me. Mike, please, I love you. We can fix it, I swear. Don't go. Please don't leave me like this. I kept walking. She called my name again, but I didn't stop. I wasn't going to. I'd spent too long giving her chances to change, giving her too much of me. This time, I wasn't going to let her pull me back in. I wasn't going to beg for something that wasn't mine anymore. As I walked away, I could hear her sobbing behind me, but it barely touched me. The weight that had been crushing my chest all these months was gone, replaced by something else, something lighter, something free. She'd burned it all down. Now it was her turn to deal with the fallout, and I was done. The first night in the studio felt strange. The walls were bare, the space smaller than I was used to, but it was mine. It wasn't much, but it was a start. I could hear the faint hum of traffic outside, but inside, it was quiet, peaceful. I sat on the couch, the only piece of furniture I'd bothered bringing with me, staring at the walls. It was all I could do for a while. Sit and try to make sense of the emptiness. The weight in my chest hadn't gone away completely, but it was different now. It wasn't suffocating me. It was just there, a constant reminder that I was free. I couldn't remember the last time I'd felt like this. It was a quiet, unsettling peace, but it was mine. It was real. The doorbell rang the next day. I hadn't been expecting anyone, but when I opened it, there was Joe, looking like he hadn't slept much either. I brought beer, he said, holding up a six-pack like it was some kind of peace offering. I stepped aside to let him in, taking the beer and cracking one open. Joe didn't waste time getting to the point. So, how are you holding up? I leaned against the kitchen counter, taking a long drink from the bottle. I don't know. It feels different. Quiet, I guess. Joe sat down on the couch, setting his beer down on the table in front of him. I get it. I know it's still early, but Mike, You did the right thing. It was the only way I didn't respond right away. I didn't feel like it was the right thing, not yet. I don't know. Some days, it feels like I've just thrown everything away. All that time we spent together, Joe shook his head. You didn't throw it away, man. She did. You didn't do this. She did. I let out a breath, leaning back against the counter. I don't know what I feel anymore. I thought leaving would make it easier, but I don't know. It still feels like it's all unraveling. Joe leaned forward, his eyes serious. It's gonna take time. You're not going to wake up one day and feel completely fine, but you're not letting her control you anymore. That's a huge step. I looked down at the beer in my hand, twirling it absent-mindedly. Yeah, I guess. Joe didn't push me, letting the silence hang between us for a while. I could tell he was waiting for me to process, but it wasn't easy. This wasn't something you could just snap your fingers and move on from. The next few days were filled with a different kind of routine, one I hadn't had in a long time. I focused on the paperwork for the divorce, the accounts I'd moved, the things I needed to clean up. Each time I crossed something off the list, it felt like a small victory, but it never seemed to stop. And then there were the texts, the calls, Rachel. I knew it was coming, but it still hit me like a punch in the stomach. At first, it was just a text. Mike, please, we need to talk. I know I messed up, but we can fix this. You know we can. I didn't respond. The next day, another text. Mike, please. I miss you. I made a mistake, a big one, but I swear I can make it right. Just talk to me. I didn't respond. She called the day after that, and the day after that. I let it go to voicemail every time. It wasn't about the words she was saying anymore. It was about the fact that she still thought she could manipulate me, make me feel guilty. She wasn't asking for forgiveness. She was asking for control. I felt a little sick every time I saw her name flash on the screen, but I didn't let it show. A week went by and the calls stopped coming. The texts slowed down. I knew she'd given up, at least for now. I felt something shift inside of me. It wasn't anger or relief, not really. It was something else, a quiet strength that I hadn't recognized in myself before. I wasn't running anymore. I wasn't chasing anything or anyone. I was standing still for the first time in months, and it felt empowering. I wasn't just walking away from Rachel. I was walking towards something new, something that was mine, something I had control over. The first night she didn't text, I slept for the first time in weeks without waking up in a cold sweat. And for the first time in months, I felt a little bit like myself again. I didn't know what came next, but for the first time in a long while, I wasn't scared of it. It didn't take long for Rachel to switch tactics. After the calls and texts stopped, I thought I'd finally gotten some peace. But I was wrong. The first time I saw it, I didn't know what to think. My phone buzzed one morning as I was sitting at the kitchen table, sipping coffee. It was a message from my mom. Mike, I think you need to talk to Rachel. She's been in touch with us and she's really upset. She says you're being unfair, that you're overreacting. I think you should reconsider. I stared at the screen, my stomach twisting. This was a new low, but it wasn't surprising. Rachel had always known how to manipulate people. I could already hear her playing the victim to anyone who would listen. I stared at the message, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. Unfair? Overreacting? She was the one who'd lied to me, who'd betrayed me. She was the one who'd made all the choices. I could feel my anger rising, but I didn't respond. I didn't have to explain myself to my mom. This wasn't her fight. The next day, my dad called. Mike, what's going on? Rachel's been telling us things. She's really hurt, and we just want to make sure you're okay. I heard the concern in his voice, but I also heard the doubt, like he wasn't sure if I was the one making the mistake. I'm fine, Dad, I said, keeping my tone steady. I made my decision. I'm not changing it. But Mike, he continued, trying to soften his voice, she says you didn't give her a chance, that she's sorry, that maybe you both need to... No, I cut him off, my voice sharp. I'm not talking about it anymore. Rachel's made her choices, and I've made mine. I'm done. I don't need to explain it. There was a long pause on the other end, and I could tell my dad was struggling to understand. Son, we just want you to be happy. If she's really sorry, don't you think... Dad, I said, my voice steady but firm. She doesn't get to control this. She doesn't get to play the victim anymore. I'm done. Another silence. Finally, he sighed. I can't change your mind, can I? No. All right. We love you, Mike. We just want the best for you. I know, I said before hanging up. I sat there, staring at the phone in my hand, feeling a tightness in my chest. They didn't get it, and maybe they never would. But that was fine. They didn't need to. I was done listening to her story, to her lies. I was done caring about how she painted herself to others. Over the next few days, the texts came from my friends too. The same ones who had seen Rachel and Greg together, but hadn't said anything. Now they were all coming to me with their opinions. Mike, Rachel's really upset. You should talk to her. She's asking for your forgiveness. I didn't even have to read the rest of the messages to know it was all the same. She was manipulating everyone she could, trying to turn them against me. I shut every single one of them down. Don't get involved, I texted back to Paul, a buddy from work. This is between me and her. I'm done. Stay out of it. When Sarah reached out, I didn't even answer. Each time it happened, it became clearer to me what was going on. Rachel didn't want me back because she loved me. She wanted me back because I was her control. I was her safety net, the one thing she could rely on when things got messy. And she wasn't about to let go of that. The more she pushed, the more I pulled away. Every time she reached out, every time she tried to paint me as the bad guy, I just grew stronger in my resolve. It was like a muscle I hadn't known I had until now. Rachel wasn't sorry for what she'd done. She was sorry she got caught. She was sorry she couldn't control me anymore. And that was the moment I knew for sure I wasn't going back. Not for her, not for anyone. I wasn't the man I used to be. I wasn't the guy she could manipulate with a smile or a tear or a story that made her look like the victim. I wasn't going to let her take any more from me. And for the first time since everything started to fall apart, I felt completely clear. I wasn't just walking away from Rachel. I was walking away from the whole version of myself I'd let her shape. I was rebuilding everything, from the ground up. And I wasn't looking back. I'd already made up my mind. It wasn't enough to just walk away. Rachel needed to feel the consequences of what she'd done, and I wasn't going to let her skate by. She'd thought she could play me, manipulate me, control everything. But now, I was calling the shots. I started with the lease. I called the landlord first thing in the morning and had my name removed. It was easy enough, just a few formalities, a couple of signatures, but the look on the landlord's face when I mentioned I was out for good, that was satisfying. I could almost feel the weight lifting off my shoulders, like I'd just cut the last tie between me and the life Rachel had built around me. Then I moved to the joint credit cards. I didn't need a lawyer or anyone else's permission to freeze the accounts. I knew the passwords, knew what I needed to do. I had one of the cards in my name, and I immediately called and canceled both of them. I knew Rachel wouldn't be able to get into the accounts now. The money, the little bit we'd shared, was no longer hers to access. It felt good, like I had control for once. Next, I went to the car lease. I called the dealership and transferred the vehicle to her name. No more shared expenses. No more pretending we were still a team when we weren't. The car was now entirely her responsibility. I even had my name removed from the utilities, water, gas, electricity, all of it. I wanted to make sure she couldn't lean on me for anything. Every step, every call felt like a small victory. The last thing I needed to do was clean up the mess she'd made of my finances, so I did it. Every account that linked us was severed. All the little things that tied me to her life, her bills, her mess, I made sure they were all her problem now. She wasn't going to use me as a safety net. When I finished, I felt calm. I had no idea what Rachel was going to do next, but it wasn't my problem anymore. She'd have to figure it out. And I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of knowing what I'd done. She'd have to chase down everything herself, piece together the wreckage she'd left behind. I was sitting at my kitchen table, the weight of the decision settling in, when my phone buzzed. It was Joe. I'd been waiting for him to call, but not about this. "Hey, Mike," Joe said, his voice tight. "You're not going to believe this, but Greg's wife found out about the affair." I leaned back in my chair, a small smile forming without even meaning to. "What happened?" "Shit hit the fan, man. She's tearing his life apart. She showed up at his work, took all his stuff out of their house. She's telling everyone she knows what he did. It's a mess. I let that sink in for a second, and the satisfaction hit me like a shot of whiskey. I had no sympathy for Greg. He'd been as much a part of Rachel's betrayal as she was, but now, seeing him pay for it, it felt good. Too good. "Damn," I said, the corners of my mouth lifting. I knew it was only a matter of time before he got his. She's not going to let him off easy. I'm telling you, it's getting ugly. People are talking. I think Greg's life is falling apart. Good, I said, feeling the weight of my words. Maybe Rachel's next. Joe paused. You don't mean... Oh, I do, I interrupted. She's going to face the same thing. She might think she got away with it, but she won't. People like that always pay. It just takes time. Joe was quiet for a moment, probably processing what I was saying. Mike, I can't say I'm thrilled about what you're doing, but I can't say I blame you either. She screwed you over. I'm not just doing this for me, I said, feeling the finality of it. This is for me and everyone else she's ever screwed over. I'm taking back everything she took from me. Joe didn't reply for a second. Yeah, I get it. I just wanted to let you know. Things are starting to blow up for Greg. It's going to get ugly. I'm counting on it, I said with a small grin. Rachel's been the one pulling the strings for so long. It's time she gets to see what happens when the puppet masters fall. I ended the call and sat back in my chair, staring out the window. I wasn't gloating, not exactly, but there was a certain satisfaction in knowing that the universe had a way of balancing things out. Rachel had always been the one in control, but now she'd have to face the consequences of her own choices. It wasn't revenge, not really, it was justice, and it felt damn good. I packed up the last of my things, throwing clothes and whatever else I needed into the back of my truck. There wasn't much. I had the essentials, clothes, a few tools, the basics, but I was leaving behind more than just stuff. I was leaving the life I thought I was supposed to have, the life Rachel and I built together. I walked through the apartment one last time, making sure I hadn't left anything behind. The walls felt hollow now. Every inch of that place was full of memories, and I couldn't bear to keep them. I wasn't going to hang on to any part of what used to be mine. I had made my decisions, and now it was time to walk away from it all. Rachel's calls started buzzing almost immediately. Her name lit up on my phone, but I didn't even look at it. I didn't need to. I had already heard everything she could say. She didn't want me back because she loved me. She wanted me back because she couldn't stand losing control. I'd already seen through all her manipulations. I wasn't answering. The texts started rolling in next. Mike, please. I'm sorry. Let's talk. I need to fix this. I didn't read the rest of them. I didn't need to. It was the same thing over and over. All the lies she had fed me in the past. She was trying to keep me tethered to her, trying to bring me back into her web. But I was done. I grabbed the keys to the truck, slammed the door behind me, and headed out to the driver's seat. As I pulled out of the parking lot, I didn't look back. I didn't need to. There was nothing left for me there. I drove through the streets of the town I'd lived in for years, but it didn't feel like home anymore. It felt small, like everything was closing in. I had been stuck in the same routine, the same expectations. But now, as I put miles between me and all that, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. My phone buzzed again. Another message. I didn't check it. I didn't care. I turned onto the highway, the road stretching out in front of me, endless and open. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Freedom. I smiled to myself as I drove, not because I was happy, not exactly, but because I was finally free. Free of the lies, free of the manipulation, free of the person I used to be. I was driving toward a new chapter, one that was mine to write. The anger had faded. It wasn't about her anymore. It wasn't about revenge or getting even. It was about me, about reclaiming my life, my choices, my peace. Rachel could call, she could text, but I didn't need to answer anymore. I wasn't looking back, and I wasn't going to let her drag me back into her mess. I was done. I kept driving, the road unwinding before me. The future was wide open, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I could breathe again. I was free, truly free, and I'd never look back.